tried to put together a meta team comp. It was basically a Protector, Peel the Jinx comp with another threat in that artillery of Xerath. But the Jinx got so far behind in lane, they didn't have a plan to deal with the obvious laning strength of the Urgot Kennen lane. They let it get worse and worse, and 30 minutes in, there was only one team in the running, and Starhorn Royal Club definitely confident in them 1-0 up.
Yeah, they certainly were confident in that one, but Young Glory now going to ban away the Urgot. A very nice adaptation, rather. But Insect's going to lose his Jarvan, and I find that ban very interesting because Insect's champion pool is monstrous.
You also have to notice that they're banning the Urgot on blue side, so they don't feel comfortable picking it up themselves either in this situation. So a bit of strategic holes coming through in their champion pools. You'd have to think they're looking over Gnar as a potential first pick. The popularity of Gnar has definitely fallen away. As you mentioned, Hecarim's been a first pick. Shyvana's another choice. Gnar as a first pick means that there are going to be two super strong picks available to Starhorn Royal Club. This is much better. Get either the Sejuani or the Rek'Sai onto Illusion. Set them up to carry. That's been their LSBL story.
Yeah.
Is that putting that experienced Illusion on really strong skirmishing junglers, but it leaves the Hecarim available, and it's going to be the same two picks.
Yeah, they wasted no time doing it either. Cola insta-locking that Hecarim away, and Insect gonna pick up Zero's cannon, and Zero just looks like he has so much fun playing that champion.
That's the thing, Sorcerer's Shoes, Haunting guys.
Yeah.
These are the things you can do on cannon. You only need a Sightstone, and then you're like, I'm a support, guys, and start stacking AP. That's the reality of the support cannon if you're Zero, apparently. And yeah, it's two very powerful picks, two control picks, but look at this, a very early Karthus.
Yeah, Fly just going to lock that one away immediately there as well. Gnar taken there for the top lane, so the solo lanes seem to be locked away here. The bottom lane yet to be picked up by Young Glory, and Name cycling through some options here. He can take the Jinx if he wants to, and Insect thinking about hopping on the powerful Piggy and Sejuani, and oh my goodness, Name on the Lucian. This is a comfort pick if ever I've seen one. You talk about his Jinx a lot, but his mid-game carry action has been so good.
So it's a bit questionable to go for the early pick Karthus, coming back to that Young Glory pick for Fly.
Yeah.
You're blind picking Karthus, which should be fine. He can navigate most lane matchups. Just sitting back with 825 range on your lay waste, you can just prune the waves and do your best Urgot impression and then power up to the late game. One of the reasons I don't mind this pick against Starhorn Royal Club is that the last Starhorn Royal Club regular season game, they did not respect the Karthus passive at all. You'll remember Cola, for example, diving in and initiating on a teleport Karthus, fighting on its grave, and then just losing the fight to the Defile and the Requiem damage. The Starhorn Royal Club haven't shown their ability to navigate around a Karthus. They've gone for an engaged comp. Maybe there's hope for Young Glory.
Yeah, Chishui picking up the Graves here at the last minute, so going short-range carry against short-range carry, and sort of fits what Chishui has shown us in the past here in the LSPL, but it is going to be the Morgana pick there for Yensa, and coming from a mid-laner background, of course, pretty happy to pick that one up.
There's a lot of lane power coming through for Young Glory in general. You're definitely going to favor Gnar in the 1v1 matchup against Hecarim. Should be able to push him in with that ranged auto-attack advantage. Graves Morgana is going to be very competitive against Lucian Ken. That's going to be a fairly equal lane. They go for Vladimir. This has been the standard counter pick, but Korn tried this once against the Karthus, and as we mentioned, didn't have the best results.
We haven't actually seen Korn have the best results on Vladimir so far throughout the pick phase, but we'll see how he goes here against Young Glory, and if it's anything to do with his performance in last game, I mean, he had one hula hoop in that game, sort of one shockwave that didn't really do a whole lot, but the rest of them were fantastic. Korn really looks on form today. We'll see how it goes as we move into the game.
Yeah, Vladimir has a really strong laning matchup against Karthus, but they haven't been able to see Vladimir players match Karthus' impact in team fights, even with that Hemo Plague. In the top lane, we already mentioned, Gnar going to naturally outpush Hecarim in the early levels. This is the big question mark, though. What can Illusion get done on the most banned regular season champion in the game? Rek'Sai, 56% ban rate in the LPL during regular season. So much mid-game pressure. Interesting to see what he can do.
Yeah, and of course, Sejuani, first clear, of course, is pretty dangerous there in the jungle, so Insect might be under a little bit of pressure there, but we see the Graves versus Lucian. Very aggressive matchup here as we have Cannon into Morgana. And we'll see how it goes because, of course, you have to think it has a lot to do with this bottom lane matchup and whether Young Glory can stay in it in this one.
I mean, the Morgana pick kind of sticks out to me, Atlas, just because there's so many different types of magic damage. Consistent magic damage from Vladimir, other sorts of magic damage, even a big high damage magic damage support. You feel like this Black Shield's going to be broken regularly in fights and won't be able to be used for the CC negation that it's best use for on the support role. It's not going to be that massive magic damage shield. Not sure how much protection it's actually going to provide for the Graves, the short-range, risky carry in team fights anyway.
Yeah, it might be sort of more to be used as a premeditated cleanse here as something's coming through here, but we'll see how it does work as we move through, because it's going to be very, very scary. And it also plays a lot on your mind here as well. If you get owned in that lane, I mean, there's no other way to say it, then it's really hard to come back. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get on to the Rift and see whether Young Glory can come back in Game 2. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Young Glory taking on Starhorn Royal Club for our second match here. And Royal Club, of course, 30 minutes in the last game, and it looked pretty easy for them the first time around. And Young Glory now throwing them a bit of a curveball. No more Urgots to be had this game, but the rest of the Royal Club lineup looking very similar.
Young Glory definitely had the deep vision advantage at level 1, getting that very deep lane ward at the top of your map towards the inhibitor top turret for Starhorn Royal Club. Waiting to see if we see a lane swap registered. Graves is tending towards the bottom lane, so is Lucian. So at least at the moment, it's looking like 2v2 action.
Yeah, no one is actually shown there on the top side of the map, as well as Prophet did throw some cheeky boomerangs around just to see what he could find, but didn't actually spot anyone because, of course, there was no one towards the top side of Starhorn Royal Club's base. And Illusion, he's starting on the Krogs, and the Gromp start going to be begun here by Royal Club for Insect. And we'll see whether Illusion is actually going to be more aggressive towards the early stages.
Absolutely, that's the big question mark. You definitely have a lot more tools to open up aggression. When you're the Rek'Sai, you have that uncleansable knockup from just level 2 onwards. You can just go for that flash unburrow in the mid lane. Korn, though, probably going to skill the Sanguine Pool at level 2, so we'll have defensive options. Has double escape summoners, but it's all on Illusion. It's pretty much the old IG playstyle where they waited to see what the aggression from Illusion could get them in the early game. No real aggression in terms of lane ganking possible with that Nunu pick in game 1, but the most banned, most feared jungler now riding on Illusion. It's his game to shine.
Yeah, and now you can see YG already having a better time in this laning phase in the bottom side. Of course, may actually hit that level 2 much earlier here as it comes through now, and Royal Club going to have to play back. Dark Binding doesn't land. Is Name able to nimbly dodge out of the way of that one, but Wave now going to push in, and Quick Draw going to net Shushui a little bit of damage, and it's Graves. Looks like he's got something to prove on the Rift this game.
And even though we really do forecast that Morgana Black Shield won't be a critical factor in team fights, in the laning phase against just the cannon for magic damage, should actually be a powerful tool. So maybe it's just a win lane, win game attitude being taken with this Morgana.
Yeah, and the level 3 gank to come through. Zero gets knocked up, flashes immediately out of that Dark Binding, and he is going to be safe. But the Summoner spells 2 actually blown now for Royal Club towards this bottom side. And Illusion, he's going to head back to base, but you have to think this is not going to be the last time he's in this bottom side.
Now, this is the trademark aggression we expect from Illusion. Much more on form, much more at home on the high ganking pressure Rek'Sai. In fact, if you track back to the last time that Illusion and Insect met, as Insect, as always is the way with Sejuani, falls perilously low in the jungle, it was actually Illusion having to deal with Insect's jungle Shaco. We haven't seen the Shaco this season yet, but that's the sort of pressure these two junglers, two of the most aggressive junglers in the world, look to put out.
Yeah, Name actually going to get caught by that Dark Binding. Takes a lot of damage there on the bottom side, and now he's the one trailing in farm just a little bit at the beginning of this one. Prophet and Cola. Cola super tanky at the beginning on this horse. Ruby Crystal start there to the Doran Shield. Prophet going to have a little bit more regen there, and we'll have access to that Mega Gnar fairly shortly. And we'll have a whole lot of extra health there as well. Hyper doing basically nothing to Collar at this stage.
Hey, look, if they're splitting farm, you say it probably suits the Hecarim, and we expect Gnar to win this lane matchup, especially 1 to 6, or until the first big item purchase is picked up by Cola, which is most likely to be the Cinder Hulk in this game. Hecarim's going to be very strong in dive in the backline. That's always the case when we're talking about the top lane teleport smite Hecarims. Has a dive partner in Sejuani, and to some degree Vladimir and Kennen as well.
Yeah.
As a solo tank, Hecarim struggles is more about damage than CC. Only really has the onslaught of shadows for teamfight CC. But with the Sejuani Kennen, going to have plenty of CC coming from his dive partners, and very strong teamfight in general from Starhorn Royal Club.
We'll see whether they can utilize that one and see whether YG can pick up some form of lead in this early stage of the game. You can see already Fly with a CS advantage. CS advantage is actually across the lanes here for Young Glory, and that is a very different tale to what we were telling in the previous game. So we'll see whether they can ride on that, create some power here, because of course with Rek'Sai on their side as well and no level 6 to be hit by this Sejuani, this is their time to make something happen and pick up the early advantage.
And this is why we were so surprised when we saw...
Oh my goodness, Name's in so much
going
trouble.
for it again.
Looking for something, the Umbaro. Ooh,
he hasn't been spotted out, but that was a predictive shuriken toss there. Very smart from the cannon.
Yeah, very cute work. They had no idea that that Rek'Sai was there. You can see there's only one vision ward that may have spotted him on his way down, as Name's going to get buckshotted. The Ignite going to go down, but the flash away, and that's first blood now for Chushui. And Name, I don't know how he got hit by that.
Jansa showing those mid lane mechanics he was renowned for when he used to play mid lane for this Young Glory team in the LPL. Hits the binding, reminiscent of the solo kill by Deft onto Vasily in early weeks of the LPL, just sniping him with a Mystic Shot. Why are you under turret with 150 health as Lucian? Far too aggressive, maybe remembering too fondly the the one-sided nature of that 2v2 lane matchup last game. Name, big mistake.
Yeah, may have got a little bit overconfident there, of course, wanting to stick around for a little bit more farm, as Korn has made it back to lane with a revolver here as well. He's going to have a whole lot of extra sustain, but still falling behind just a little bit. Of course, the farming prowess of Akarthus, nothing to be understated. Insec looking to make his first attempt at a gank in this top side. Only level 5, doesn't quite have that Glacial Prison available just yet, as Megan are going to come through very, very soon from Prophet. He's got a full wave to deal with as he wallops it as well. Picks up a lot of gold. That was beautiful.
Very nice farming mechanics from Prophet. Of course, these LSPL teams, still very strong teams in their own right. It's perhaps why we're so surprised to see the positioning-focused, low laning pressure comp coming out last fight, but there's the gate.
Yeah, Onslaught of Shadows comes through here as well, as Insec looking to try and get the slowdown. The Never Move is available,
Excellent
but Prophet...
bounce.
Yeah, beautiful bounce. Doesn't need to blow anything.
But let's see, the surprise is, why do you go for the poor laning phase, the late-game power spike of the protect the Jinx, protect the Xerath comp they're going for in Game 1. Instead, they just go for laning power in Game 2 to Young Glory, and suddenly the results much, much better.
Yeah, and this is a team that has been sort of praised for having very, very strong laning players as well, in the Star Koreans coming through in the top and mid lane, and seems that this bottom lane as well, with a mid-game focus, able to go toe-to-toe.
And with Graves, you just have so many more laning options. Specifically, not laning against Urgot is where you want to be as an AD carry.
Yep.
Functioning more as an anti-marksman than an AD carry himself. Illusion starts trading strongly.
Yeah, there's the Arctic Assault, and actually Zero flashing over the top, gets the stun, but YG are here with the backup. The flash Dark Binding lands onto Zero here as well. A lot of damage, and another buckshot nets another kill.
Jansa is so on top of these Dark Bindings, forcing flashes left, right, and center, now picking up kill credit. Death coming through, and now they're going to start contesting this blue.
Yeah, does reset though, so they're not going to be able to pick that one up. Of course, a little bit shorter before that reset comes through now, and that blue buff is going to be safe and goes over to Insec here as well, as Chushui goes aggressive but doesn't find the buckshot onto Name, who's at about half health and does need to look out for any potential Dark Bindings.
Yeah, a couple of melee minions away from level 6, so probably not going to be a turret dive from the Morgana until level 6 was achieved. Of course, Soul Shackles into the Dark Binding will probably be enough kill pressure coming out onto Name. Has both summoners available now, though, so has a little bit more defensive options.
Yeah, should be okay this time around. Fly still farming up with these Skittles. The CS difference has not changed whatsoever here, as Korn able now to pick up everything he wants. That was a really nice Defile last hit there. But
the reason that we're actually seeing Karthus win this lane matchup, that we forecast Vladimir to have the advantage on paper, is the difference between the junglers. When you're talking about a jungler who has such strong ganking CC and damage at level 2 and 3 like Rek'Sai, compared to Insec, who has to farm up on the Sejuani, you have to some degree seed lane control, and the result has been a consistent CS advantage for the Karthus in an unfavorable matchup with no combat summoner. Remember, he's got Flash, but the teleport, not an Ignite or an Exhaust for that second summoner.
Yep, Zero is going to snipe out. Oh, actually, how is that ward not in vision?
Sometimes wards are a bit crazy.
Very cheeky. Very cheeky indeed, as YG weren't able to see that one despite the pink ward, so is going to mean that Royal Club have complete knowledge of them waiting around, and Zero was able to throw in a cheeky shuriken. So CS differential completely evened out now by Name, who he had like what? There's a spare 4 minutes in that lane and everything's fine.
But worth noting, of course, that Graves has just taken the time to shop, so of course he'll pick up some CS as it breaks onto his turret. Fly from his items, looks to be doing his best assassin impersonation with his build. Tia into Rylai has been the very popular choice on the Karthus as Yancer wants to hit a binder.
Yeah, he's looking for something here as there's the scrying orb to come through from Chushe, so he knows there's a cannon waiting in the wings. Yancer going to try and start a freeze.
All right, Insect knows there's a ward here, is spotted out now, but Nas over halfway down this lane. Maybe he's not that confident about the warding situation, as Prophet should have perfect vision of the piggy.
Yeah, actually did have his sweeper available as well, so decided not to sweep out that one. Is Prophet not going to find the boomerang there at all either, and YG actually have a lot of vision towards this top side.
After what was an excellent laning phase from multiple lanes, suddenly unfavorable lanes like Kohler in particular on this Hecarim actually starting to build a CS advantage up against Nah.
Yeah.
Hecarim in the late game is going to be very good at dealing with the 525 range from Graves. You're going to hit that item cap. We talked about it last game. It's all about the home guard boots into the Trinity Force, into the Cinderhulk. Usually Cinderhulk first because it means that, hey, if the laning phase goes terrible, just start going into that jungle.
Well, he has already picked that one up as well. Now with a Ruby Crystal on top of it, augmenting that extra 25%. As Kohler's going to flash on Fly. Doesn't actually blow the ultimate, though.
Korn kind of went insane there. Maybe he was just trying to flash, pull, and use the Hemopeg at the same time. The mechanics weren't there. And trading flashes, maybe that's fine. He does have his own Escape Summoner and the Sanguine Pool in a few seconds' time. But that's the only result he gets.
Yeah. So they did, I guess, trade flashes. So that is one way to do it.
Very peculiar.
I liked it, though. I liked it. I feel like he was on another level that we didn't even quite understand.
Well, look, he was playing like the jungler was there, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Chushui actually going to have to be careful. His piercing lights are starting to build up as the Dark Binding doesn't quite find Name. Yancer still searching for one.
Rylai's definitely going to be the pickup for Fly. So this has evolved into the standard Karthus build. No Rod of Ages in this build, but of course 400 health coming through from the Rylai's makes you pretty tanky. And honestly, it makes Karthus a pick champion with all that consistent CC from the Lay Waste. Insect's bound.
Yeah, Insect looking for something. Arctic Assault not quite there as Illusion able to pick that one up. Takes himself out of there as there's the flash in by Zero. Soul Shackle's there, but the cannon sacrificing himself as Name tries to pick up one. Actually, Zero picks it up. Oh my goodness, the Hemo Plague and a net kill as Fly falls down. Death Defy going to be available. The Requiem. Name no relentlessly pursuing out of that one as Insect just drifts on by. It is a 2 for 3 and Dragon going to YG, and I'd still be happy if I was a YG
But
fan.
it was very curious play from Illusion. His first reaction at the start of that fight was just to burrow away. Still has his flash, still has his smite available, but he was clearly not on the same wavelength with his teammates, not looking to fight.
Yeah, actually, and Illusion not looking to fight seems to be the strangest part. I mean, if you were ever going to be on the wrong wavelength with Illusion, it should be if you're backing away.
Exactly. If you can't assume that Illusion of all people is going to be aggressive in a team fight, then obviously the communication's not there between these members. So scattered fight, as you mentioned, it still goes decently for YG, basically trading a kill for the first dragon, which is, sorry, the second dragon, which is a decent trade, but it could have been much more. In that skirmish, Rek'Sai would have done a lot of damage. Is going the Warrior enchant rather than Cinderhulk, so he's going to be damage focused. Hell, if you're going to go the aggressive item build, make sure you actually pick those fights.
Yeah, and Zero actually putting the pressure on his own. Name just turning up to this lane, able to take away that cannon creep quite nicely and evening out this CS to about 5 in the mix. Korn now in a bit of trouble as well. Does still have the pull available, so dodging away from these Skittles, using that Q as well. You can see the Defile trying to stay right at the edge of that damage.
Fly needs to hit some of these.
This is very, very awkward.
That was some extremely poor, we'll call them zoning lay wastes coming through from Karthus. Didn't register any in that situation. So we'll see the team fight ready. Remember, Illusion got out of this fight even though he had all his summoners up and was full health. Goes back in and gets some kill credit. I can understand respecting the Glacial Prison, but if you're the only one getting hit by it, you're doing just fine. Name, he's already used heal at this point, so he's definitely dead. But that team fight should have gone better with the earlier power spikes from the likes of Rek'Sai with Warrior for Young Glory.
Yeah, of course, he's still a bit squishy, so that might be his thinking, as Prophet's actually completed the Frozen Heart, actually, as his first item straight out of the gate.
And I can understand that I need to get out of the way of this Glacial Prison, but that just meant that The result was that Kennen just got the complete channel onto Chushui, and he died instantly.
Yeah.
Like, it's much better if Rek'Sai is eating that AoE ultimate than Graves, but the result was just leaving his AD carry to the wolves, an AD carry who had a decent part time on his AD items. It wasn't the jinx of Game 1. It was a fairly well-tuned Graves.
Yeah, and the Graves was definitely going fantastically. I believe 2-0 at that stage of the game.
So just very questionable. The communication not there. Need to kind of make up for that. Hell, they got the objectives, so that's still something to consider. But just need to make sure the communication tightens up for the next Dragon fight.
Yeah, we'll see whether it does. Korn, though, in the meantime, has formed himself in about an 11 CS advantage here as Fly went back to pick up that Riley's Crystal Scepter. We'll see whether that means that after the first lay waste, it's going to be a little bit easier to land the rest of them as well. Of course, counting as a single target spell for that slow, so 35%, not too bad at all.
Yeah, I love the Karthus with the Rylai's because it gives you the health that you're lacking from not picking up the Rod of Ages, but the 35% slow is so significant on a champion with a 0.86. That's the exact cooldown at the moment of Karthus' lay waste. We're talking permanent CC if you hit all those lay wastes. Showed in that previous engage they might struggle to do that after missing 6 or 7 in a row.
But Korn was doing weird. I mean, Korn was doing weird things.
But I mean, Karthus has always been about damage, not only just the wall, but 2v2. It should be coming.
Yeah, Illusion hasn't quite shown himself just yet, as Prophet actually taking up a lot of damage. Preyseeker doesn't find anyone as Royal Club actually going to try and get out of here, but there's the ultimate. Wallop comes down as well. Nard out of the way. Prophet incredibly low. Onslaught of Shadows not available. Requiem is going to find Kohler, and Insec looks for something but won't find it. And that was turned around really nicely.
I thought Illusion might have waited too long, but they are able to pick up the kill anyway with the Karthus damage.
Oh my goodness, the collateral damage comes through. There's the Soul Shackles, but doesn't lock onto Name here as well as Yangtze gets it turned around. The Ignite's going to tick down, and they're going to trade AD carry for support. So again, a trade, but Young Glory coming out on top.
Yeah, Name, though, is the one who picks up the kill credit in that trade. So that's a 1 trade there for Young Glory. Graves has to exit lane. Very close trade, but Morgana probably went too aggressive with none of her spells available.
Oh my goodness. On throwing some blood at these puppies, actually taking a lot of his health, but able to queue himself back into safety range. As he starts off this middle one again, is going to secure that. Might lose a couple of creeps there under the turret, but not going to be too bad. Will of the Ancient's going to keep him safe. One
of the cheeky things you can do is Vladimir. Instead of just taking those camps, you can just walk over to a camp, use the transfusion, and just get a bit of healing. You're not necessarily looking to pick up the gold. It's just another option to use your high spell vamp build and get a bit of lane sustain.
Yeah, no problem there at all. And Fly did go back and pick up a blasting one, so he's got a little bit more AP moving into this one.
Probably going to be the Archangel second for, again, a bit more situational tankiness.
Oh, Name in trouble, though. Soul Shackles is down. Illusion is here, but Name able to flash and relentlessly pursue his way out.
He actually opened up more distance than I expected between the Relentless Pursue and the Flash and was able to get away. No collateral damage for the Graves. They won't be able to pick up any kill credit. The Infinity Edge completed for both carries, but just a sneaky Brawler's Glove to the advantage of Chushui.
Yeah, which isn't too bad as well. Now that that Infinity Edge is through, that Brawler's Glove does pick up a little bit of added value for that 400 gold. Prophet continuing to push out this wave, of course, with the perma-slow of that Frozen Mallet. Going to be a scary thing to deal with, especially even in mini Gnar form, as Insect going to be taking down this Rift Scuttler. And Silent Royal Club probably looking to try and pick up a dragon in one of these fights, and we'll see whether their team fighting is still going to be on the same level as it was in the first game, because it was looking great.
See the fight between Name, the first result, all spells used, so no collateral damage for kill pressure. Just waiting for the supports to exit into lane.
And Illusion actually going to come over here as well, comes through with a tunnel. Name not too worried about this one by the looks of things, as Illusion doesn't have any more gap closing ability. And Insec is hanging around the wings as well. And YG probably just looking for a pick to try and transition into that third dragon.
Absolutely. Just want to get someone low enough, whether it's a kill credit or forcing them to back to make this dragon even easier. Looking down the summoner spells, most of them are up. Crucially, Karthus does have Requiem available. So we should see a fight being on. And look at this. Karthus looks like he's actually going to be able to take down Vladimir's turret. This is Karthus, one of the worst auto attack frames in the game, has managed to solo take down the turret of Vladimir.
The thing is, I mean, he's had a lot of friends to help him do it here, able to push out his wave over and over again. Prophet takes one out as well. It's a lot of global gold to be picked up, and what was a 1,000 gold lead just before this moment, now stretching out to almost 3,000. Things looking good for YG. We'll see whether they can go back, spend this global gold, have that 3,000 gold advantage in the next fight, and then really take it to Royal Club.
It looks like a 1-3-1 split is going to be the choice from Young Glory, because look at these item choices they have. Frozen Mallet is the rush from Gnar in the top lane. Suddenly has consistent CC on the Hecarim, where you're already going to naturally win that lane matchup. Rylai's in the mid lane. So much slows everywhere, but the fight's on.
Yeah, Zero in a bit of trouble here as well. Blows the ultimate. There's a beautiful one from Insect, though, and the flash over the wall doesn't quite save his life as Name tries to pick one up. He's still alive somehow as Prophet just Goomba stomps him there, and the Requiem to come through. Insect does not have enough in order to survive. That's the only kill that's going to come through, apart from Prophet picking up a cheeky collar on the backside. And where was Korn?
It's a 4-for-3 win. That was the result. I believe Korn might have been fighting on a different front that we saw off screen, but YG, they've still got quite a lot of dragon damage. They're even going to leave Illusion to solo it. Importantly, this is the 3rd Dragon Atlas, so that's now the movement speed over to YG.
Yeah, and even more importantly, denying the 6% stats here from Royal Club. And now that we're moving towards that mid-game, getting far more relevant.
And suddenly, the Haunting Guy's aggressive build comes out for Zero, even when his team is staring at a gold deficit in this game, about 3,000 gold, the lead to Young Glory. Kennan's going to be doing respectable damage with his abilities, but he's so squishy at this point, and probably needs to start using that ultimate more for disengage than engage, because engaging on top of a Karthus, it's kind of been one of Starhorn Royal Club's poor decision-making choices in previous series, and might be it again.
And it has been Fly able to make things happen. He's been dying in the right spots as well, you have to say, as that crit really doing some work here under Zero. But Seraph's Embrace now completed by Fly as well, and he's going to have a lot more control about where he dies in these fights, because it's not going to be happening too quickly with the added shield.
So many pick options between just the auto attacks of Gnar now being a slow, the Rylai's providing a 35%, so the Dark Binding, which has already been consistently registering from Yansa, who now has an Aegis as well for the team. Double Aegis, can be Aegis in both parts of a fight. Even if it's a 3v3 and a 2v2 multiple skirmish fight, going to have that magic resist aura, and it negates a lot of what Zero spent all of his gold as a support building up.
Yeah, actually, my goodness, that first crit to come through from Chushui really doing some work here under Name. You can see he's able to at least lifesteal himself up just a little bit with that Doran's Blade. And has a potion there still in his back pocket as well. As the culling going to come through, Name able to register a lot of bolts there from that one. Chushui going to have to be careful underneath this turret as collateral damage easily cleans out all of the creeps.
Vladimir was there for a potential turret die, but Rek'Sai ports over. Chushui, importantly, doesn't have any potions in this situation, now using his last one to get just over half health. Cola still hasn't hit item timings to be able to deal with this Gnar. And again, whenever he overextends, whenever he's away from turret, he's eating multiple hyper procs just because of the Frozen Mallet slow.
Yeah, well, this will be the real test here as well, as if Cola can really jump on top of now a fairly strong Graves and take him out of these fights.
He hasn't hit the item timings just yet. Has 2 of the 3, in fact 2 of the 3 items and 2 of the 3 parts of the Trinity Force. So he's about 1,200 gold away from really having the big burst quotient, but you need multiple things. You sort of need a flank ward. You need some aggressive wards down so you can get the flank onto the enemy. Because trying to devastating charge, then Onslaught of Shadows onto a carry through 4 members, it's always difficult. You're going to have to deal with the wall, respect all the consistent CCs we're talking about. Yansa looking for the binding.
Yeah, doesn't quite find it here as Zero actually coming through aggressively there with the ultimate popped as well. There's the Soul Shackles down. He's going to stun up Zero here just a little bit, but Korn tries to make his way around Hemoplague. Not going to get too much done, but the flash forward picks up the kill under Yansa, and Chushui going to have to get out of here, and this might mean the first turret, for Royal Club.
And Karthus is going to keep pushing, doesn't have to respect them because 4 members showing him, but the port comes through. Karthus taking 2 turrets unanswered is something I've never seen in competitive, let alone even in solo. You're so hard to push as Karthus. You're usually anchored defensively under your turret, but Fly's got this inner turret to half health.
Yeah, it has a lot of AP as well. You can see Needlessly Large Rod picked up on top of the Seraph's Embrace, starting to scale up in this one. 264 CS here at 24 minutes into the game. Ain't nothing to scoff at.
And no one really going to naturally itemize a Hex Drinker, maybe Cola after the Trinity Force. Locket can only do so much work, and the AP's definitely stacking on the Karthus.
Yeah, and Insect at least does have that Locket of the Iron Solari, so a little bit of a shield going to be available, but like you mentioned, it's probably not going to be enough. And the double Aegis, Papa Smithy, actually turned into a Banner of Command here for Yancer.
Banner of Command has actually been the Invictus Gaming special. It's a very interesting item just because when you're trying to push, especially making one of those promoted minions magic damage resistant, means that Vladimir won't be able to help with the wave clear. It's just going to be Name. Have to get in pretty close range of the minions to hit the piercing light on a priority minion, which is a crazy thing to say. Not a priority target, but a priority minion. So it might actually be relevant. But again, it's for split pushes. It's to set up split pushing situations. And when you've got a Gnar with the Frozen Mallet, when you've got a Karthus with Rylai's, so many possible split pushes, throwing in a promoted minion is just going to make the split push better. Yeah,
damn right. And Insect going to be taking away this blue buff as well. Korn might want to pick that one up for the cooldown reduction here, and he is going to.
It's a battle of item timings. This next dragon in a minute and a half. We're talking about finally the Trinity Force, the holy trinity of Hecarim items. The Trinity Force into the Cinderhulk, into the mobility boots. Now they need to get some flank wards to try and instantly kill Chushui. He's on a short-range carry and Graves. He's mostly going to be relegated to burst if he has to respect both Kennen and the potential initiation from Hecarim. Keeping him out of a fight, making sure that Karthus is the only real team fight damage threat. Maybe that's the way that Star Wars World Cup get their first dragons, can start to get into these fights.
Yeah, we'll see whether they can make this one happen. 47 seconds now on the dragon. It's Royal Club getting to the point where they're starting to be put on a timer here by the 5th. Of course, if this 4th one is locked down now but for Young Glory, they are going to have a lot of control and a lot of power in this game as well, because Royal Club are going to have to respect every time they go towards that pit.
Exactly. It just means that every 6 minutes, even if they don't pick up that crucial 5th dragon, the game is on a semi-timer at that point, because you always have to respect the amount of win conditions that are open, the amount of power that is given with an extra 6% stats, and just the true damage, ensuring that everyone, regardless of scaling, is a damage threat from the YG side.
Yeah, and it's a 12% stat swing here when you've got a Royal Club lineup that don't even have one dragon, as the Hyperproc's doing some work onto Cola. This Prophet keeps being annoying underneath this turret.
I know that Spawn's not a big fan of the Frozen Mallet, specifically the Frozen Mallet Rush on Gnar, but I'm actually a pretty big fan of it just because I've seen games like, for example, it was a CLG versus TSM, their first meeting of the season in the NALCS, where Zion Spartan rushed the Frozen Mallet on Gnar, walked up to an Ahri, auto-attacked her 3 or 4 times, and she had to ult away. And just having that kind of pick CC, the consistent CC coming out from a Gnar in a split-pushing situation. And remember, the Hecarim actually loses damage when he slows. He's going to be consistently slowed in the trade. It makes him worse at trading with the Gnar, and just makes the Gnar split push better.
Yeah, 50-50 smite to come through here as Illusion wants to pick it up. Insect's got it though as Name forced to get out of here. Fly through to the backside as Prophet's going to come down as well. Zero going to be taken out of this fight. Fly going to die. And they're not fighting on the Defile this time as Requiem comes through. Doesn't find any kills and Yancer forced to run away. Cola in the meantime going to take down the Eddie Carry in the backside, and Starhorn Royal Club with a much better fight.
Able to disengage away from the Death Defy. That's been a very difficult thing for Star Royal Club to do in recent series, but much more successful than they get their first dragon. Suddenly, the 6% stats are all evened up, and no one loves them better than that Vladimir, who now, of course, gets extra ability power and health from the 6% stats.
And he's already got the added 30% from the Rabbidan's Death Cap as well. This is a huge spike in power here for Korn. 311 CS as well at 28 minutes. Pretty ridiculous. And you can see Name as well able to catch back up, does have a null magic mantle, so might be actually looking to pick up a QSS here just to try and avoid a lot of the CC to come down.
There's not a lot of setup CC to force Starhorn Royal Cup to sit on top of that Death Defied passive from Karthus. Only really the Soul Shackles does any sort of AoE CC. Of course the Gnar potentially, but they weren't able to engineer a massive Gnar ultimate against the wall. It looks like YG will just go back to split push, and that's definitely where they're happiest with the likes of the Rylai's and the Frozen Mallet for picks. But one of those win conditions, the 5th dragon, it's that much further away now that Starhorn Royal Club are on the board.
Yeah, certainly is. Name actually may not be going towards that QSS, of course. It may just be the Banshee's Veil wants to pick it up a little bit earlier than normal.
I mean, it's not that much pick CC, so yeah, the Banshee Veil probably makes more sense.
Even a Hex Drinker.
A Hex Drinker will probably be the best insurance against the Karthus damage, but it doesn't really help against the Morgana. You have to really play around the Black Shield, so either QSS or Banshee Veil probably just deals with more threats than Hex Drinker, which is very cost-effective, but this doesn't necessarily build into a late-game item for Name either.
Yeah, we'll see what he does go, because he built a BF sword there as well. Wants a lot of extra damage. Might be going towards that Bloodthirster. We'll see what does happen towards the end of this one. As Insect going to nimbly dodge around that Dark Binding now as well. And YG, they are playing a little bit further behind than they were before. A little bit sort of more reserved in their play, because they've just lost a fight and they do not want to let Royal Club get back into this game.
So the thing that Royal Club needs to do in these fights is try to lock down one of these threats, whether it's the Karthus or the Graves. They've got so much Pixie C between Zero on the support with the Slicing Maelstrom, the Glacial Prison coming through, and then of course the Onslaught of Shadows as well. Get one of those picks, then disengage away from the Karthus and just try and fight normally. It's only the really big two-threat comp coming through. So they just need to fight smart. It hasn't necessarily been the Starhorn Royal Club way recently, but with Insect back in the lineup, more experienced shot callers on the team, just navigate around the big trump cards for YG, which is mainly this Karthus passive.
Yeah, and the Death Defy has been doing some work towards the beginning of these fights, but at the moment, Fly being dealt with relatively well by the Starhorn members. That being said, I mean, Chushui was right out of that fight, and Cola sort of able to zone him away from everything. If Young Glory managed to get a fight on their terms, will things be a whole lot different?
I mean, the question is, how do they force a fight on their terms? How do you ensure that there's no kind of flank wards for Cola to get that big flank Onslaught of Shadows onto Chushui? It's much harder to do than it is to theorize about. But yes, if there is a fight where Graves is able to consistently put out damage, where he isn't zoned by the Hecarim, and again, they find a way to force Fly, keep him alive or keep him on that backline doing consistent damage. When there's a Karthus, there's always a way.
Oh my goodness, and Korn actually blowing the Ghost here as well. Hemoplague doing some work and going to be nullified by that Zhonya's Hourglass Illusion coming around here as well as Fly is going to be safe. Pool's going to get popped, but comes out. There's the Zhonya's Hourglass, and Korn's going to be safe as the Soul Shackle's not going to find the stun based on that. Both mid laners are going to survive after interesting ganks and counter ganks coming through from both sides.
So in an extended lane, you can see that just the Ghost being popped by Korn is kill pressure onto the Karthus. If you can't hit those layaways to disengage Korn, there is significant kill pressure. This is the part of the game where Vladimir is happy to find Karthus in a long lane and just try and kill him.
Yeah, well, it does seem to be working out so far. Of course, managed to get that flash out previously, but now actually Fly able to sit underneath his turret. You can see a whole lot of Starhorn Royal Club members are pooling around this Baron area. They do have vision control around it, but Name is going to head back to base. We'll see what he picks up as Wall of Pain comes through onto Korn. Yancer looks to try and grab something as Lateways doesn't find it, and Korn, what a burst to come through. There's the Sanguine Pull actually dodging out of the way of the collateral damage. YG can't find anything. Void Rush to come through, but Rek'Sai nowhere near anything either, as Cola able to come back to this lane and stop this turret from being taken down.
But you can see Korn can hold onto his Sanguine Pool for so long during those 3v3s, during those skirmishes, because there's not much Pixie C. It's only the Dark Binding that he really has to respect. In general, he has to respect Yancer because the tether from the Soul Shackles does go through the Sanguine Pool, so that being applied is potentially a dead Vladimir. But otherwise, happy to be pretty aggressive and overextended in the mid lane.
Yeah, not too worried as Name going to take some Wolves here as well. Heading towards the Grump, wants to finish off another big item before the next fight, you have to think, and we'll see whether he's going to as Royal Club. Down towards this bottom side, Dragon up in another 20 seconds, and Name's heading back to base. If YG go very, very quickly, they'll be able to take this one down. Insect was trying to take out the Rift Scuttler, but not going to find it.
Gnar is definitely not teamfight ready. No rage whatsoever on that Gnar bar. Hasn't been able to auto-attack anything. We haven't seen the big 3-4-man Gnar in a fight. You feel like that, coupled with Karthus, might be enough teamfight control to bring around a teamfight victory for Young Glory, because there just hasn't been any big skirmishes win for YG in the last 15 to 20 minutes.
No, it hasn't, and Name actually with the perfect item timing here as well. Picks up the Bloodthirster, ready for this fight. He is even now with Chushui as far as that item is concerned, but has a Null Magic Mantle on top of it. Boomerang's coming through, annoying Insect here just a little bit as Prophet procs a hyper on it. Yeah, not too bad. Ardent Blaze finding Fly. YG have started off the Dragon. It's taking a fair bit of damage as Insect actually pops around and does a little bit of a drive-by. And this one's going to go down very, very quickly. Fourth Dragon now for YG is going to be taken with no contest. Actually, Royal Club looking to try and push this mid lane instead as Fly thinks he might have caught someone out. Arctic Assault onto him though. There's the Skirmisher's Saber. He uses the Seraph Embrace, but in the backside, it was a massive ultimate to come through from Insect. Korn actually using the Hemo Plague onto Yushui, but oh my goodness, Yancy just gets destroyed as Prophet jumping into this fight. Name against the wall as the heal comes down, but Prophet forced to flash out of the way. The heal used by the other AD carry as well. A double kill for Korn on the back of that one, and Fly the Death Defy, not enough, and it's an ace in the end for nothing for Royal Club.
Fly lives, but he might as well be dead. It's actually an excellent team fight coming through from Starhorn Royal Club. What you noticed there, Atlas, they engaged on Karthus when he split away from his team and used the Glacial Prison to stop people grouping with the Karthus. Karthus couldn't fight with his front line, couldn't fight with his back line because he was separated and was just a non-factor in the fight. So separating away the Karthus just meant that they could deal with the other members in extended skirmishes. That's where Starhorn Royal Club looks strong, and that's the team fight win for the team.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, as well as there were sort of multiple things going down onto Fly, just sort of getting a bit sandwiched there by the two tanky members, and there wasn't a lot he could do about it.
I mean, Karthus doesn't count for a lot as we're waiting. Remember, Lucian's healthy, but doesn't get through crucially with the Burrow. But if Karthus, if no one's forced, especially the squishy members, to stand on the Defile, there's not a lot of kill pressure or team fight damage coming through from Karthus. Illusion tries to do damage from Korn and swiftly realizes that, nope, you can't do that.
Yeah, no, that is not happening this time around, as Korn does have a Haunting Guise completed on top of the rest of his items that he did have. Of course, not actually opting to go for a Void Staff for his next item is interesting to me, but where do you think that thinking comes from?
I mean, it's not a lot of magic resist stacking. Everyone has the 20 magic resist from the Aegis Aura, even in these separated long skirmish fights with double Aegis being completed. One of them turned into a Banner of Command, the other one into a Locket. It's only really that for magic resist. I'd probably prefer... but he actually already has the Void Staff to mention, Atlas. That was in his inventory.
Right. No, he just sold his Door and Shield and picked that one up.
Okay, but the Haunting Guise into a Leandris just means consistent damage to the Hell stacking Gnar, which might be relevant.
Yeah, no worries at all. And he actually confirmed our thinking there at the same time. Just wants as much magic penetration in any way that he can possibly get it, that he can. And it's a lot of damage now available for Korn now that he finishes an outright Void Staff as well. Culling going to come through just to deter these YG members from sitting under this turret. But, of course, the wave clear from Fly definitely up to the task. 680 damage on a single target. But Name just going to use his Bloodthirster shield to cheekily tank up this turret as well. And with the Baron buff, Royal Club able to take that one down. You can see Preyseeker going to find Korn there just a little bit as well. But it is going to zone the members of YG away from this inner turret. And the siege now begins. We'll see whether they can stick around under this one.
They have great turret damage, but not a lot of range on Lucian, especially no Gragas to reposition these wave clearers away from the turret. So very hard to see that particular outer turret with 5 members of the Star Royal Club. They're just looking for a pick. No big objectives to fight around, so Young Glory just going to be on wave clear duty.
Yeah, they are going to have to take care of the super creeps coming through that mid lane, though, as Wall of Pain not going to quite find Name. Of course, wishes he could cleanse away that slow, but unable to do so with the Relentless Pursuit anymore. That is going to get out of the way of the lay wastes, as YG actually have some decent wave clear, and Cola in this bottom side pushing up this wave as well. And Starhorn Royal Club have certainly had that going for them this series. They have been able to control their side lanes very well and utilize Cola with his teleport very effectively.
I mean, Cola has teleport, has Trinity Force complete, does a lot of turret damage. They're happy to set up this split push situation they have going now, and of course getting even tankier and tankier. Already has Frozen Heart and the Spirit Visage. This Hecarim is going to be a backline damage threat, diving, and also going to be super tanky. So teamfight relevant at this stage.
Yeah, teamfight relevant, but also incredibly split push relevant as well, as Korn uses the Sanguine Pool to get himself out of danger after getting hit by that Dark Binding. It's a nice little smoke screen there just to stop him from being able to see his friends. As the rest of YG trying to sort this one out. Prophet able to head down to this bottom side of the map and clear out these creeps, as Cola is going to rejoin with his team. The rest of them actually picking up some items here on the side of Royal Club. We'll see what they do, decide to go back and pick up. Last Whisper outright for Name. That is a big deal.
Straight up Last Whisper. He's actually sitting on quite a lot of gold still. Might be the Banshee Veil. Well, no, he's going to back away. So that was just his purchase coming through. So it's going to be Banshee Veil soon. the Banshee Veil is probably the death knell of this YG comp. There's not going to be any pick pressure or even Requiem damage threat coming through when the Banshee Veil is completed. With the base broken, only really the 5th Dragon is a potential contest point here for Young Glory. It feels like Star World Club's just going to wait for this next Baron, pick it up, and then look for the finish.
Yeah, 50 seconds on this Dragon now. Young Glory probably want to fight for this one as well as Illusion hanging around. Doesn't want to give up the Rift Scuttler as well as with 40 seconds to go. That will definitely be giving them irremovable vision on that Dragon as YG pushing up this mid lane. That inhibitor not available just yet, but will be respawning very, very soon. Royal Club probably going to be able to pick themselves up their second.
And despite the fact that Name and Chushui are damage equals in terms of the items they picked up, have identical 4 AD items, you just feel that Lucian, with his inherently more long-range damage, the Piercing Light at bigger range, Zero looking for an engagement. That's a massive wall, of course, now that we're level 18. You just feel like Lucian's going to be able to put out so much more safe damage in a fight compared to Graves.
Yeah, and in fact, right there, the culling to come through as Insec actually going to Arctic Assault over that wall to safety after that binding does come through. Zero looking for something here, wants to get a slicing maelstrom happening in this fight as Royal Club. They've started up the Dragon. He's going to be taken, actually stolen away. 5th Dragon for YG as the fight starts off here. And there's the slicing maelstrom. Profit Nas Name into the wall. The wallop's there at the same time. But let's look at the rest of the fighters play. Able to get right in amongst it. Cola and Korn doing some work here. Not quite able to pick up the kill, but Nami falls down. And oh my goodness, Chushui so low, as is Zero. It's actually a 2-for-1 in the end in favor of Royal Club, but the 5th Dragon goes over to YG, and that is huge.
Yeah, but for YG, a 1-for-2 trade, even with those 12% stats, still not enough damage coming through from the Requiem. The 80 carry falls, so they won't get any more pushing done with Starhorn Royal Club. Excellent steal from Illusion, showing that he still has those smite mechanics he was always renowned for, but they still aren't able to translate that into a team fight win for YG.
Yeah, and actually, Chushui manages to pick up the QSS here at the same time, so able to remove the Hemoplague, the Glacial Prison, also the Onslaught of Shadows.
One of those things, Atlas. That's the
unless
key
they
factor.
all come in at the same time.
Sure, but staggering those cooldowns, the Glacial Prison, QSS, that suddenly Korn has incredible kill pressure on you. There still we have to talk about the fact that the Onslaught of Shadows will come through. You can't really use QSS to deal with a lot of that damage. There's so many different threats. We're forgetting about the fact that Zero gets a good flash, and he might have decent kill pressure himself, or at least set up kill pressure for another member. QSS is a start, but these fights have been very messy. They've been fought on multiple fronts. The double Aegis looking like a very smart purchase for Young Glory, but turning those into a team fight win, specifically a big Gnar ultimate, which has been a struggle so far. We still haven't heard the cry of the 3-4-man Gnar, because Prophet just hasn't managed to get that positioning, or maybe credit to Starhorn Royal Club, who have to navigate both the terrain for the Gnar and the Karthus passive, and so far have done that quite well.
And this is ridiculous. 43 minutes into the game, you've got a 6-item Vladimir, a 6-item Hecarim as well inside of Royal Club.
You've got a lot of Baron down.
Yeah, the Baron coming through now for YG. They're going to take it down instantly. Insect gets Dark Bound, and that is going to be the Baron available now for Young Glory, and they are not out of this one. We'll see if they can get the counter push on, because there's a lot of standing gold on this map.
And Yansa snowballed the early phase with those Dark Bindings, killing Name under turret, and then actually was the one to make that not a 50-50 Baron. So I mean, the Morgana is certainly going to be a consideration moving forward, because Janssens showed so much prowess on that. They have the Baron buff, a couple of 5th Dragon buffs. Even though the last team fights haven't gone their way, if you're ever going to fight, it's right now. Promoted minion as well.
Promoted Baron minion there in the back, and we'll see whether that one's going to continue to get buffed here, as it's doing a lot of extra damage, but Name manages to close the gap, and they pick up that one.
Yeah, they didn't fight around it because of the minion waves in bottom lane especially. Someone needs to go and deal with that minion wave. Karthus has teleport, but look, he's having enough time getting into the right spot, dying in the right spot in team fights without having to have the 3-second channel time coming through. So while he will go and clear that minion wave, it's still a go signal for Starhorn Royal Cup when they see a 5v4.
Yeah, and there's also the top wave as well, as we just noticed. Banshee's Veil completed by Name. You do have only the QSS still sitting on Chushui, so doesn't quite have that Mercurial Scimitar completed just yet. Fly going to make short work of this bottom lane, as you can see there. Now going to have a look at his book and head back to base, as Name going to clear out this mid wave as well. And we'll see whether Young Glory are going to figure out what to do, because it seems a little bit like sort of the King problem here in this game where Young Glory, they pick up a brilliant objective. They are able to forward themselves back into contention here as far as the gold is concerned, but it now looks like they don't quite know what to do with it.
With the Graves Karthus, they had a lot of single target damage, they had a lot of Baron and Dragon damage, and to their credit, they executed on that win condition. They got the 5th Dragon, they've got the Baron this game. The big issue is that now in team fights, they got a 525 range AD carry that can't get access to his steroid because he has so many threats he has to respect. So he's basically a burst backline AD carry and then a frontline diver in Karthus who has been they've been so excellent at disengaging away from. They've got multiple gap closes, they got flash up on their members. They're getting away from their Karthus Death Defied. The team fights just haven't been coming together from Young Glory because they've never had to respect the massive Gnar. That's the one part of Young Glory's comp that hasn't come together. The split push Gnar, 1v1 in the Hecarim has been excellent, but the team fight Gnar has been absent.
No, it hasn't quite been there just yet. Has been used to sort of solo out Name here as well, much like the Hecarim would. And it's another Banner of Command super minion here in the back. But Name is going to be able to take that one out yet again. And the rest of Royal Club now able to stop the onslaught. You can see already Kohler in the top side of the map wants to get his split push on. The rest of Royal Club now chasing away the members of Young Glory as the horse actually makes his way to the inhibitor turret here as well. Not too much damage there, but this Sheen from the Trinity Force going to be doing some work. Kohler takes off half of its health before Prophet makes it there, and Royal Club now on the offensive.
It's surprising, actually, that Kohler so respected the Gnar that he instantly devastatingly charged away from that particular turret. I feel like he could get a bit more turret damage down. Wouldn't have been able to pick up the turret, though. The base is already broken, Star Royal Club. You can see Insect's getting antsy. He wants to throw out that Glacial Prison.
Yeah, he really wants to put someone in prison, most definitely, Papa Smithy. Looking for something here, but can't quite find it. Wall of Pain going to stop Insect from being able to do too much, as Arctic Assault is going to be used to escape. Shuriken's coming down. Actually, Fly taking relevant damage from that one as it's a Zhonya's Hourglass and a Void Staff completed for 0. There's the flash into the ultimate there as well as Fly gets Hemo Plague down. Korn uses his Sanguine Pool. Fly is going to use his Zhonya, so he's going to survive. 0 picks up Illusion there in the backside as Sluche, oh my goodness, the Gnar to try and knock them away, but Royal Club are doing so much work in this backside. Prophet tries to throw the boulders as Kohler tanking up the turret for a little while, but Prophet's going to fall, and the ace for Royal Club. Beautifully played. They'll take down the inhibitor and probably just finish the game.
And Insect certainly felt like pressing the go button with the flash into the Glacial Prison. The key factor you saw in the backline, Kohler far too strong for Chushui. Takes him down in the backline. No damage from Graves. The Karthus dies first. That's all the damage for the team, and they can tank this up and end the game.
Yep, Name actually tanking this turret for a little bit longer than he otherwise would have liked, but the Nexus turret is going to fall down. The Royal Club members able to take down their Nexus as well, and after definitely a more difficult game, 8,000 gold the lead, Royal Club make it a 2-0 so far in this best of 5.
But a lot more credit to Young Glory needs to be past that game. Knew that they had objective control with the comp they had, and specifically the Rek'Sai had complete ownership of those neutrals, had the 5 Dragons, had the Baron as well. But they just weren't able to pick fights they wanted. Star Royal Club used their mobility to fight on multiple fronts. Finally, we felt the impact of the Vladimir versus Karthus.
Yeah.
The Hemo Plague was really helping in the backline. And if we've learned anything over the last couple of weeks, it's that Hecarim diving onto a short-range AD carry will register the kill. Graves falls down, only Karthus for damage. Magic resist stacking across the board, and Star Royal Club take the game.
Yeah, Star Royal Club definitely looking fantastic in that one, and you have to look at this Hecarim and think that has been the common denominator over these games. Kohler has had brilliant performances. We'll see whether that is going to be what Young Glory are going to be thinking about, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a short break, but after this, we're going to see whether it's going to be a 3-0 for Starhorn Royal Club or whether Young Glory begin the comeback.